Welcome to another edition of ACB Caribbean Coach's View. ACB Caribbean is our platinum sponsor. They have been with the Antigua and Barbuda Parish League cricket for over 43 years. Simply Smarter Banking. We are asking you to please go and check them out for all your banking needs. And remember, this ACB Caribbean Mortgage and Trust as well. Please go and check them out and tell them that Parish League send you.
On behalf of the entire Cecil Charles Group of Companies, Cecil Charles Company Limited, Tico Pharmacy, Hutchison Antigua Limited, Antigua Farm and Garden, and Eastern Brown Pharmacy, we would like to thank you all for your support over the years and wish you a Merry Christmas, a happy, prosperous, and healthy New Year. Your order will be processed immediately. Thank you for calling local distributors. On behalf of management and staff of Local Distributors Limited, we wish all fellow citizens of Antigua and Barbuda a very Merry Christmas and a happy, healthy and prosperous 2022. We thank you for your continued support and forward to seeing you at our location on American Road, or you can call us at 562-6353 or 562-6554.
It's beginning to look a lot like Coolest Food is the #1 place to shop this Christmas. Yes, we are ready. Yes, ready for the Christmas season. Coming short to see all your new arrivals. Now in stock. Ladies' shoes, ladies' clothes, men's shoes, sandals, sportswear, furniture, chair sets, fridges, stereo sets, waffle makers, deep fryers, ice coolers, dressing tables, and of course the Christmas tree to pile all these goodies under. Although I'm not sure how you're going to put a dressing table on that Christmas tree. Nevertheless, don't let these great items pass you by. Plus 20% discount on selected items. Coolest Food is your #1 stop for Christmas this year.
With the management and staff of Hell Plumbing Electric Limited, would like to wish each and everyone a Merry Christmas and a bright and prosperous New Year. We are located on Herbis Road in the Purple and Red Building. We are also asking everyone to stay safe, follow the protocols, wash your hands, wear your mask, social distancing, because we are hoping to see everyone in the New Year. Brandfulness, wishing you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Here at Brandfulness, if you're not having a happy or Merry Christmas, come on down to Brandfulness. We will help you do that. Yeah, everything for all your needs. We're located on High Street, so we sell all the pet teddy bears at a very good price. You can contact me on 771-2282 for more info. Have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
And welcome back to ACB Caribbean Coach's View. This afternoon, our guest is Winston K.M. Benjamin, former Antiguan, Leeward Island, and West Indies cricketer. He also played cricket in England. He played for Hampshire and Leicester for a number of years. Winston, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Kenny, and good afternoon to the viewing public, wherever this broadcast has been aired. And stay tuned, we're going to have a lot in store for you this afternoon.
Well, what we're going to do, we're going to go straight into our coaching skill, and this afternoon we're going to look at how to use questions when coaching. We know a lot of the times that coaches want to know if the young people are learning, and so what we suggest is that the skill that we want to put out there to our people is how do you use questions. And here is it on the screen. And the first point, all of our coaching skills have 4 basic points. Prepare basic questions in advance. And I think that is very critical, Winston. you know, planning is very important in coaching. And you wouldn't want to just go up to a session not knowing what your listening is all about and what you're going to ask and so on. And you have gone to sessions and you have planned some questions that you want to put out as feelers and so on?
Yes, definitely. It's what I would call a judgment stick, just to get a feel of where the players are mentally and where they are also in terms of the knowledge base. And for instance, you have a session yesterday and you want to do a recap, and you would probably go home and put a few questions together, and then when you get back to your session, you'll just ask these guys those questions.
And so that's number, and that is very, very, very good, very important that you plan. So you're planning your questions, and so that planning aspect comes into play. Use questions that start with what, how, tell me. And I think again it is pretty important there, because from those words that we're starting there, you're encouraging a discussion. When you tell someone, tell me.
Yes, you're encouraging them to participate in the conversation, in the discussion. The what and the why and the when and the how is very critical. It also gives you an idea as to what the individual understands or how he perceives whatever discussion you had before or the question that was asked.
And point number 3, keep the questions short and simple. Now, why would you want to? Why not the long questions, the long drawn out ones?
Yeah, because too much information is just as bad as no information. So you got to be very aware of that. You don't want to be going on and on and on. It's just a simple question. For instance, I said something to you and I'll ask you, do you understand? Explain it back to me. Right? Instead of I giving you 20, 30 questions in one paragraph, and then you're struggling to explain yourself.
And so short questions like, tell me what about yesterday that interests you? Those sort of questions that we're looking for. So 1, prepare basic question in advance. 2, use questions that start with what, how, or tell me. Keep the question short and simple. And the final point, listen to identify the next question.
Yes, definitely, because it's like you're following the process or following the program. And by doing that, most times you will get a question that you would have already expect from, because you're going in the same direction and the individual is following. So it's not all you got to ask. Sometimes they ask the question before you even put it out.
But this one, number 4, is forcing you to be a little bit creative, because in number 1, we just agreed that we're going to plan our questions in advance.
Exactly.
But if we jump across to number 4, you may ask a question and they may give you an answer that, hey, I wasn't expecting that one. But the fact that it says listen to identify, that follow-up question must do with the answer
given
that you got from the athlete.
Sometimes because you have an answer, most times because of your experience, you have an idea of the answers that are coming your way. And sometimes, as they will say, out of left field, you get an answer, and then you got to stop for that split second to analyze the answer and see if it fits into the realm of things. Sometimes, I mean, you too can learn from a player.
And so there you have it, folks, how to use questions. Very important. And remember, you can contact the people at Parish League, and these coaching skills we can forward to you. And you, as a coach, can look at them. You don't have to agree, but that's how we're going to start a discussion. That's how we're going to start to educate ourselves as coaches. That's how we're going to learn more and how we become better coaches, by sharing information, by discussing these information and having dialogue with each other.
Yeah, Kenny, if I may add this, sometimes you as a coach, for lack of a better word, we're just there rumbling on and everybody's sitting down and you're not getting any feedback. And I think in coaching, if something that happens, you're basically defeating the purpose. you need to get an understanding or a feedback from the guys of what is happening. Well, for instance, I normally ask my player, you know, what you think your strengths are and your weaknesses, and do you think that you improve? What you think is your weakness? How can we improve what we're doing? And you just get a collective answer.
Because you have gone out, what we're going to do today, we're going to give, because it's Benjamin and Benjamin, we're going to give them a double whammy. I want us to look at the coaching skill, how to generate feedback. Because you just touched that, and really and truly maybe they do go hand in hand, because asking questions, like you say, you want feedback, you want some input, but there is also a coaching skill, how to generate feedback. And so we can look at that as well. Look at the four pointers. But once he's finding that for us, why did Winston get into coaching?
Why did Winston get into coaching? I think I get into coaching because I like children, and I like helping people, and being a cricketer. If I may say that football was my first love, and I have my certificate in coaching in football as well. But I do enjoy flipper. I do enjoy what I'm doing. I don't go there because I want people to see me. That's why I go hide up in Clear where nobody can see me up in the back areas there. I don't go at rising sun and thing. But yeah, for me, it's a pleasure. I look forward to it every morning to go there and work with these guys. You know, and I believe that I can contribute to the development of the youngsters. So here I am, Kenny, doing what I do best and what I love. I think that cricket needs dedicated people who will definitely be be enthusiastic about what they're doing and having fun. You know, my interaction with the players that I'm working with has always been one of fun, one of learning, one of enjoyment. You know, the players, they're not restricted to the whole bondage things where, you know, coaches have you there not being able to respond. And no, I like to get everybody involved. It's a collective situation where we're trying to achieve or arrive at a particular goal. And with everybody on board and everybody adding their 2 pence, you know, it'll make life easier for everybody.
Very, very interesting. And here we have it. How to generate and provide feedback. And I think this is critical. Again, it involves the athlete. And nowadays, we as coaches, we understand that it is all about the athlete, isn't it? It is more athlete-centered coaching.
Okay, that's a what do you call it? That's a half the ear through the ear. I mean, who is we? I mean, majority is we, or a few people?
Well, I said we as coaches because I would assume.
Well, there's too many coaches now thinking that it is about them.
Well, Winston, this is why we have this program, because we are trying to educate coaches, you know, about some of the shortfalls. And back then, there were a lot of coaches who felt when they turn up, they put down their fancy cones and they did their fancy drills and it looked good. The coach is really working. But when the athletes would leave and you ask them, what did you learn today? They start to think. Well, what we want our coaches to understand is that it is all about the athlete. When I turn up, I've been coaching since 1993. And I can't ever remember hearing anyone say up until now, this is what, 7 and 22, that's 29 years ago. I've never heard anyone say, I'm going to watch Kenny Benjamin coach. Have you had that privilege?
No, I haven't. No, I can't say I have.
So what people normally go out to see when they go to sports?
To see the players. Most naturally, it's not about me as a coach, because as they say, players win matches, coaches lose them.
So we have to make sure that we prepare these athletes so that when people pay their money or take their time off to come and see them, that they think it's well worth it.
Definitely, but if you look at the the atmosphere now, and you listen to the coaches, is a bunch of we men or I men. I do this and I do that. I have said numerous times, and this is something that I believe in wholeheartedly, that no one coach can get a totally rounded, complete player if there is such. Because players move from stages all the time. On the 15s, on the 19s, on the 17s, seniors, clubs, franchise, and you're not working with your coach. You're working with, you're meeting somebody else. So why am I now at this juncture is going to hold on to somebody and say, well, it's me. It's about me. No, it's not about me. It's about developing the individual. You understand? And helping the individual to ascertain the information that he or she needs so that they can build on whatever they have. But too many people like, oh, why are you going to him? Why are you going to her? Why are you make yourself available, and then people come to you. Simple.
All right, we're going to just have a look and see the coaching skill, how to generate and provide feedback. Point number one, ask questions to encourage self-reflection. Do we do that as coaches a lot? Do we do it enough? Ask the players about, reflecting about themselves, how they think about, how are they doing, are they satisfied with where they are, and how they can become better and so on?
You see, Kenny, that's a difficult question to ask. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the coaches around here, and I can speak around here, seems to think that there's a big fight.
The athletes that you touch, obviously, we both, because we share athletes.
Right.
I know JV come by you, JV come by me. The athletes that we touch, when you get the feedback, do you get the feeling that a lot of things, positive things that you're putting out, it is like new to them, they're not doing these things at other sessions?
Well, as you say, Frippa, the athletes that we have, or the players that we have, they're coming from two solid background in coaching. So there is hardly ever any, maybe I might bring across the same point in a different way, and the person might stop and look, and then as he understands and realize, it becomes easy because I'm just asking him the same question you ask him in a different way. So no, I don't find with the players that we have had, there's no difference, so to speak.
But you do get some players.
You do get some players, and those players are players who don't really pay much attention to the information that is being given. They are always talking, and they watch the TV, and then they come and practice TV style. But what they're not understanding is that what they see on television are hours and hours and hours of practice before it reaches to the television.
Okay, so we're speaking about ask questions to encourage self-reflection first. The second point, limit the information to 2 key points, and I think you touched on that about too much information.
Yeah, too much information is just as bad as no information.
Okay. The third one is give specific, simple information in a positive way. And again, why is it that we speak about a positive way?
Sports is about attitude and confidence, right? And if you break an individual confidence, all right, you might have a player who he went out, scored a century. You know what that is. You're gonna come back the next training session, all pump, yeah. And then you might look at him and say, oh, well, you think because you score 100 yesterday, you can bat your car back. You're no good. You don't want that, because he now might look at you in a negative way, and getting that negative feedback, he might all of a sudden now go back into his shell, as I would say, the turtle attitude. As things get a little tight, you pull your head back in, and you defend on your shell to protect you, but you're not really producing anything of work to help your team. So it's vital and very important that if a player who just scored a century is doing something that you don't like, instead of going across in that manner I just spoke about, you say, listen, calm down a little bit. Today's another day. You don't do what you did yesterday. who to tell you get a one ball duck today?
What about the guy who scored a nod? How do you say something positive to him?
For me, one of the things that I normally do is normally tell him, listen, I know that you're better than that, and these things do happen because it's sports. And in sports, there's no guarantee. Nothing is guaranteed. You got to go there and execute all the things that you're taught, and execute properly. So, scoring a duck is not a death sentence. But I know that you can do better, and I know that you're better than that. And then you set up your training program to suit the discussion. So you let him have some, what we call some easy shots, and you just what should I say, compliment him, and then you go back to the rigor. You put him through the test again, but the confidence is already boosted. So a confident man can do anything.
And the final one, check for understanding. What will you do now? And check for understanding for those of you who are out there. We want to make sure that when we're speaking to the athletes, that they understand what you're speaking about. And you just simply ask an easy question like, so what are we doing today again? To make sure that they understand that what you just said, they know what it is. Because there's so many times, Winston, and I'm sure that you have been through this, that you have a discussion about the session and you say, okay, let's go. And more than half of them don't even understand what is it that they're going out to do.
Bring me back to the point I made earlier. You have some of the guys who show up at practice and they're not paying attention to information. They're talking, and they come back with the television, what they see on the TV, not realizing that those guys would have gone through hours and hours, endless amount of hours in the nets, trying to perfect their skills.
Across Antigua and Barbuda, and that's where our focus is. Do you think that coaches are taken seriously enough by parents, by the employers, by the associations, by the athletes, by the fans? Do you think that they respect and believe that the job that the coaches are doing, it's a humongous job? Because at the end of the day, when we see these athletes, whatever sports on the TV representing the national team, the regional team, playing at international level and so on, the coaches that are on the ground here, that started with them at the smaller level, the community youth programs, the school programs, the national youth teams, played a significant role. Are we as coaches taken serious enough?
You see, Kenny, again, you're asking some questions that are they're pertinent questions, but you see, our culture is that we are a people who, if Kenny do it, you're supposed to do it. What's the big deal? For instance, you take people like Viv Richards walking about in India and Pakistan, they'll be mobbed. People just can walk down High Street and nobody even look at Viv Richards.
Right.
You understand? So our culture, we're not a people of gratitude. You do it, it is expected of you. So what's the big deal? Why should I have to come and tell you thank you and them sort of things?
But even if they don't tell us thank you, do you think that they need to understand and need to admit that the job is a very important one? Because I am thinking, Winston, that, and obviously people can send us a message. You can, if you're on picking up on Facebook, you can always send us your comments and so on, and we will obviously respond. Do you think that they look at you as a coach and say what Winston is doing is very important to community development, to youth development, rather than, well, you're not to do so, you can go on with it.
Again, as I said, the culture has to change. There are parents, definitely, and I'm not going to broad brush everybody, there are parents who understand and will definitely make an effort to, let you know what they appreciate what you're doing and have been for a while. There are some parents who have never seen the child play cricket match, play a football match because they don't have the time. All they know, oh, Lyndon go and play football and he come back home. Jane go and play netball and she come back home. For me, it's not like other territories where the parents taking you on this, they like you have in America here talking about the soccer mom, they pick their children up and they're there for graduation back home, and the sacrifices that here, if you get you, if you job through. What a big deal. Go and find a job.
We have another former fast bowler, former Leeward Islands fast bowler here saying good afternoon. That's Ricky Christopher, a former fast bowler, now farmer. You know, he's doing a wonderful job out there, producing some wonderful stuff. I wouldn't want to give his secret away, you know, but he's producing some wonderful, all the big dums and all those wonderful food. Good afternoon to you, Ricky. How can we, as coaches, Winston, get the message across that we need unity right across the coaches? Do we need to have a coaching unit, a coaching association, and if so, do we need one per discipline, or because Antigua is small, we don't have a lot of numbers, should we have one coaching association that represent coaches and put forward cases to associations and to governments and so on? It's a two-part question. Do we need it, and if we do need it, should it be one association, or should we have different associations for different sports?
It's a tricky question because. But what do you think? I'm going to tell you what I think because you asked me what I think. Mm-hmm. But I'm just saying it's a tricky question because here we are. If you have a meeting and a basketball player or a basketball coach doesn't show, and the netball coach doesn't show, and the cricket coach doesn't show for whatever reason, it puts you back to a second meeting where the information that you would have given, we have to go over that again. I believe that you have a sport, what do you call it now? I think they had one the other day. They had one where Chetgin was in charge of what do you call it?
Sports council.
Sports council. Mm-hmm. So each discipline has his or her information, and you have either a monthly or quarterly meeting where you discuss every sport in general. So a basketball will probably give you an idea, because sports content, you can use some areas of netball into cricket and table tennis and all of that, and then you compile your own program and proceed. Second part, what is the second part again?
I will ask if you think that they need to have a coaches association, a union then, who put forward what coaches at the national level or even levels, different levels. For instance, look at cricket. You can say level 3 coaches, they should be the minimum, you know, salary or wage, whatever, whether they coach in national team or not. Those type of things. Do they
let me not go into the finance of the situation, but I think we should have those things in place so that you have a proper representation.
Right.
All cricket coaches across the board who are interested or eligible should be free to join that coaching organization. So what we do now, we impart whatever information that we have so that we develop the discipline that we are in charge of. And by that, we should see in a matter of maybe a year or two some improvement, because that's what we want. We need somebody to go on and assess what is happening on the ground at different venues, different days, different areas, and there's nothing wrong if the top tier, the boss, take a bottom tier coach and say, listen, come with me, we're going to go to Jennings, and we're going to observe what is going on at Otto Jennings. And you don't even have to say to the Jennings people, we're coming. And with that, the lower tier individual, you can be saying, okay, see what is happening there, see what is happening over there, and explain what is happening and what is going to happen if they continue like that. For instance, you see a player doing something and say, if he continues doing that, he's going to hit the ball X, Y, and Z. So you explain to him what's going to happen before it happens, because sometimes it looks awful when something happened and you're like a bandwagonist, you're saying, see, that I know that was going to happen. No, I like to say, listen, if you continue going this way, this is likely to happen. It might not happen on the day at the time, but chances are, because of your experience and the knowledge that you will have gained going through your courses, experience of playing both locally, regionally, internationally, you would have seen that and would have garnered a lot of information that you can, share with somebody at even at your level, because everybody do things differently.
Okay, you're watching ACB Caribbean Coach's View, ACB Caribbean being our platinum sponsors. You can go at the bottom of St. Mary's Street, the financial center, here on High Street as well, and make sure that you tell them that Parish League sent you want to do some business with them. We're going to go and pay some bills, and we're going to be right back, so make sure you stay tuned.
On behalf of the entire Cecil Charles Group of Companies, Cecil Charles Company Limited, Tico Pharmacy, Hutchinson and Tigo Limited, and Tigo Farm and Garden, and Tigo Pharmacy, we would like to thank you all for your support over the years, and wish you a Merry Christmas, a happy, prosperous, and healthy New Year. Your order will be processed immediately. Thank you for calling Mega Distributors. On behalf of management and staff of Mega Distributors Limited, we wish all fellow citizens of Antigua and Barbuda a very Merry Christmas and a happy, healthy, and prosperous 2022. We thank you for your continued support and look forward to seeing you at our location on the American Road, or you can call us at 562-6353 or 562-6354.
It's beginning to look a lot like Coolidge Food is the number one place to shop this Christmas. Yes, we are ready. Yes, ready for the Christmas season. Come in store to see all your new arrivals. Now in stock. Ladies' shoes, ladies' clothes, men's shoes, sandals, sportswear, furniture, chair sets, fridges, stereo sets, waffle makers, deep fryers, ice coolers, dressing tables, and of course Christmas tree. To pack all these goodies on there. Although I'm not sure how you're gonna put a dressing table on a Christmas tree. Nevertheless, don't let these great items pass you by. Plus 20% discount on selected items. Coolidge Food is your number one stop for Christmas this year.
We, the management and staff of Hell Plumbing Electric Limited, would like to wish each and everyone a Merry Christmas and a bright and prosperous New Year. We are located at Herbis Road in the purple and red building. We are also asking everyone to stay safe, follow the protocols, wash your hands, wear your mask, social distancing, because we are hoping to see everyone in the New Year. Wishing you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Here at Brandfulness, if you're not having a happy or Merry Christmas, come on up to Brandfulness. We will help you do that. Yeah, everything for all your needs. We're located on High Street, where we sell all the quick tech bills at a very good price. You can contact me on 771-2282 for more info. Have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
And welcome back to ACB Caribbean Coach's View. we're just going to have a look at one or two of the 10 commandments of coaching. And again, these are my 10 commandments. Different coaches may have different commandments, may have different philosophies, but like Winston say, you may very well see that if you were to dissect one or two, it is basically the same set of principles that they go on, but they may just word them differently. My first commandment, thou shalt always remember to be a positive role model at all times, both on and off the field. And we'll just do 2 or 3 of them. Thou shalt always remember to exercise great care and caution when both praising and disciplining players. And the third and final one we look at for today, thou shalt always remember to manage time and resources wisely while always being prompt. And I'm sure you can word those differently, basically. And I know that we touch, especially 2, when we spoke about not killing someone's spirit, someone making a nought, or someone even making 100, and you don't want to overpraise because you don't want to think that they're indispensable, but at the same time you want to think that that the job was well done, and even though they score or not, you wanted to know that look, you're only a human being. You're not going to score runs all the time.
Definitely. For me, number 3, you see where you have prompt, being prompt.
Mm-hmm.
I think too many of our youngsters take it for granted that a game starts at 9:30 and they show up at 9:30. And I think a number of coaches fall prey to that. And then we have the big star player in our mix who we allow to rack up when he feel like, and then we try to discipline the lesser players.
But how do you deal with that as a coach?
Well, there must be consequence. Guys, we start practice at 9:30, not show up at 9:30. Practice start at 9:30. If you walk to the gate at 9:30 or just ready to practice, then fair enough. But I know that if you're not on the field by 9:30, you're late. Coming through the gate at 9:30 is not what we discussed. We discussed we're going to start our training at 9:30. So for me, you wake up half an hour early, you take your time, you get yourself organized, you do a little stretching prior to, and when the coach comes, you're ready. Time to go.
Do you think, because that is very important what you just said, but do you think again that it needs to be more cohesiveness? Because what actually would happen, a player would be coming to you late and you decide that, look, you're not too serious, you keep speaking to him, and so he goes to another session, another club, another team, and without even finding out from Winston, what is the problem with Tom? They accept him and he fits into a groove where he continues to come late and everybody's fine with that. Do you think we need to really and truly set standards amongst ourselves so that it is uniform right across that, look, whenever coach give you a time, that's what it's got to be?
Okay, let me answer that by referring to a personal experience I had while playing for West Indies. While playing for West Indies, we were in Australia, and we were in Perth, to be precise, and we were going to Queensland. And we all know Australia is a huge place.
That's about a 4-hour flight.
No, that's a whole day flight. We left Perth at 2 o'clock, well, not left Perth, we left the hotel at 2 o'clock in the morning. And at 2:15, I came downstairs having overslept. And the security guard at the thing said, the coach gone, you know. So I have one choice, catch a taxi. So I catch a taxi, get to the airport before the coach, wait until them come because the bags were out the night before, so they all gone. And I was there, sitting down waiting. I say, okay, good. I'm early, I used before the coach. When the manager walk in, he said 250 US. So I'm saying 250 US for what, manager? He said, you catch the bus? I said, no. He said, the bus left you? He said, yes. I said, that means you're late. She said, well, reach the airport. He said, you're late for the bus. 250 US. So here it is. We need to have discipline across the board where time management is being taught early. So when these things, when these players happen to make it to the top, they don't have to be scrambling and getting fined because of quote unquote again culture. In Antigua, you tell a man, I'm gonna pick up 9 o'clock, and when you go 10 o'clock, he ain't ready yet. So 9 mean 10 and 10 mean 11. We have that culture of, I will say that I was part of that until I went to England. When them guys say, come if you 8:30, and when 8:30, then you better get there where you can, because they're not waiting for you.
So would you say that it is the coaches and the administrators around the clubs and so on, would you say that we are the problem then?
No, I'm saying it's a culture problem, but we can do things as administrators.
But who should make the first step? Who should, because we know the problem. The youngsters probably accustomed to it. So who should start making.
So here what happened, because I say it's a cultural thing. I think the coach should liaison with the organizer, the committee, and say, listen, Winston is coming here late every time. I think we need to do something about that, because the executive is not on the ground. And that's one of the things where, as a coach, your executive need to listen to you as a coach, because you're there on the ground, you're the foot soldier. So I'm saying, listen, let me put this in place. He won 10 laps. He do exercise, because you don't make sense to say finding somebody for that, because it's just gonna, as you say, just gonna move. But if it becomes a system throughout the clubs, right? You'll find he might say, look, sorry, me go liberate the boy for 2 or 4 over there. He say he can do 10 push-ups the rising sun. He can do 25 over flipper, but he know that there's consequences to the madness. You understand? So I think the discipline, because when you use the word discipline, people think it's good morning and good afternoon and hi, how are you? And no, it's being punctual, being attentive to what's being said, pay attention. If you don't grasp what has been said, then you ask a question. Ask for an individual who will be to repeat for you in another way that you can understand. That is why I prefer to use simple language, because in coaching, Flipper, the language that is used is very critical. Can you tell a man, boy, go out and play positive, and he goes and play shots? But that don't necessarily mean playing positive means play shots. You can be positive in defense.
No, now that you touch that, again, the information that was given there, and we spoke about that in terms of feedback about being precise and specific. Do you think that the coaches across the board, when you look at all sports in Antigua, we look at the quality, we look at the standard, we look at people who go on, do you think that the coaches understand their role, or it is just a job? Do you think they understand, look, I'm a coach and this is what is required of me, or they just see it as a job? They go to work and they go home? Because basically what you just said there about you give someone an instruction, and the way they interpret it, it simply means that they don't understand. And at certain ages, like on the 15th, where you would think that is a basic thing. If I say go out and be positive, it doesn't mean go out and swipe at everything.
Yeah, because being aggressive and being positive, they tend to mix up those two.
But the thing about it is that there's another term where you can ask someone, look, I want you to go out there and play normal cricket. I don't want you to take risks. We want to bat for a long period. And then they go into a shell. So do you think it is a case where enough information and enough dialogue between coaches and athletes is not taking place?
Yes, and sometimes it boils down to the knowledge of the coach as well. Because, okay, you go to a coaching course and you pass a test, but then you cannot transfer the information to the athlete.
So how do we fix that then? I know
You think I was bound to be a track star?
I don't know, because you probably never tried. You never know. Maybe you were.
Some people think so, but they say the workload, it was too much for me, and I learned that early.
Right.
So then I tell myself, track and field is not for me.
Right.
So there are some coaches who are enthusiastic about coaching, but it's just not for them.
Right.
You have street smart and book smart. You have experience, and you have people who learn the craft from reading. Some people can read and understand, but the thing about it, the physical part of it is just not their stuff. So, going back to the question you asked, if coaches understand the role, and funny, you should ask me that. It's about 12 o'clock today. I was doing some work in my house, standing on some cupboards and so, and that question came to me. I don't think so. What is the role of a coach?
Well, they basically, we actually discussed that on an earlier program. I think we were here with John and Parish, and the role of a coach is basically broad, but in a nutshell, is to develop an individual into the best athlete that he can be, and by that we're talking about life skills as well. He must understand where he came from. He must understand what the coach did for him, and also his playing skills are improved as well. Obviously, it is a long list of things that the coach should be and the coach should do, but at the end of the day, the role of a coach is to bring out the best in the athletes.
Exactly. When you look at our society, and we cannot do anything until we understand the society that we live in and where we're coming from. I remember many years ago, and I had this youngster, small little guy, red like you were short so, named Alvin Morris from Old Road, and I will forever use him as an example. God bless his soul, rest in peace. Alvin was one of those dedicated sportsmen, football and cricket, and Alvin used to walk, you know this because we played together combined school, walk on a Sunday early trying to get right, come to town to be on time, prompt. Okay? There are some players who show up at practice and they have not eaten anything for the day, but they're at practice. After 15-20 minutes, you notice that they get low-key, lethargic, because the little energy they have not eaten anything, depleted. So they're tired, they're out. And some of us as coaches, boy, you're too lazy. Instead of asking the question, and I found that out during a session I was doing, and the guy sat down, opened the boots, opened the other boots, and I'm saying to myself, he feels smart, tired. I'm saying, what happened to you? He said, Coach, I'm tired. And he said to me, I have not eaten anything all day. And straight away I tell myself, okay, no problem, take a break, go and get a sugar high. Get a soda, get a chocolate, get something. Just so that you can finish the session. But then I also know to send a message at home. Your mother, your father, tell them, call me. And then I will dialogue with them and explain to them, listen, this dude have talent. but talent without energy and something to eat and getting weak, not gonna cut it. So you're gonna see your hard work that you're putting in if you're doing so go down the drain. Because how come he come to practice today, haven't eaten anything all day? And then you get the cry, oh, well, you know, things tight and whatever little you have to stretch them out. So we as coaches, and as you say in a nutshell, is to develop the athlete. But to me, it is a combination of the nutshell and the coconut. Because if you don't develop the coconut, the nut not going to develop nut.
True.
So we have to be very careful how we interact with the youngsters. Very, very, and the next thing too, there's so many things that will distract them. It's not like before time when they say one thing and be rough and tough and then come back tomorrow. Oh, and boy, get them PlayStation. You can tell the vehicle, me, so hot. You know what I mean? So we have to find creative ways also of getting them to want to play the sport.
Talk to me and tell me, from your view, from your perspective, what would you like to see? One, from the ministry's point of view, and two, from the association's point of view, in getting coaches to understand what we discussed. That hey, your role is not about you. Your role is about the athlete. We need for all of us to be on the same page. We need for all of us to understand when we go to a session, this is how we operate, because at the end of the day, we want better players, we want better standard of sports. What would you like to see from those two bodies? You can give me two.
When you say the ministry, you're talking about the Ministry of
The
Sports?
Ministry of Sports got coaches that work for them.
Okay.
The Cricket Association, Football Association, all of the associations, they employ coaches, and so they want better quality in their play as well. What are some of the things you would like to see them put in place so that we can, because what we really want, Winston, is to raise the level, the quality and the awareness of coaching so we can produce better play and better athletes.
First thing, Flipper. First thing, coaching is not easy. We need to put square peg in square holes, and round pegs in round holes. In other words, you can't go with a yes man. You gotta go with somebody who has an opinion and respect my opinion.
Go with them where? Go with them where?
When I say go with them, you put them in charge, put them in place. You have somebody who won't have a clue about. Alright. In the Ministry of Sports, cricket, they bring some bats that big men, me, too heavy for me. And those of under 15 and under 19. Whoever the person is, have no idea of what to look for, what the players need to get.
So, because I'm looking for specific answers. So you're saying there needs to be more collaboration and consultation when ordering equipment?
They need first to have the right person at the helm who have an idea and understand.
So are you saying the right person isn't at the helm?
Listen to me. You ask me a question. I am not saying who is right and who is wrong. I am just saying.
No, I just want the people out there want to know.
Well, whoever out there that wants to know needs to go and look. All I'm saying, if I don't understand what I'm doing, I cannot guide you in the right path.
Okay.
I will guide you.
So what you see from the ministry is a better method of choosing leaders.
Choosing leaders, people you're putting in charge to run your operation.
Just don't handpick someone.
Just because you feel like, okay, he not gonna say nothing, so he quiet. Kenneth Benjamin talk too much and he make nice.
So please take note out there. Winston want in the ministry, there should be a better...
No. Not only in ministry, in every aspect.
In every aspect.
You put the right people.
That we develop methods that the best man for the job
Gets the job.
gets the job. Okay.
In any organization where sport is concerned, if you don't have youth development, and when I say youth development, I'm talking about from the grassroots, because our first step is under 15. Okay, some people develop late, You might have a 14-year-old fellow friend. He have all the natural talent, but he ain't interested. But he follow a friend, and then boom. But then you have those 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old who you've been grooming all along, coming through. Yeah, and then their first real test is at the under 15 level. Even though you're going to play games in between, but the real test, representing your country and representing your region, starts at under 15. You get me? So those are things that you need to put in place. And you need to have, as I said earlier, ideas that will encourage the people. Like, for instance, I'm saying, and I don't want to use the word, but I'm going to use it, for lack of a better word, elite players. You have a weekend session in Freetown, players going to school, you sleep in the school. Now everybody want 5-star hotel and every player get a room. We don't have the finance. So hear this, you're not going to sleep in a 5-star hotel. Walk with a sponge, tap by a family, tap by a friend, and we hit Freetown Friday afternoon, 2 o'clock, and we stay there until Sunday. You get dry food, get somebody in the community to prepare these meals for the youngsters, and at the end of that session, which would last you 2.5 days, 2 days, you choose quote-unquote your elite 5 or 6. But the rest that you didn't pick is not going to be thrown thrown by the side. Somebody's going to come behind to continue the work to get them up to scratch while you continue to move, and you end up with 60 quote-unquote, lack of a better word, elite players.
So again, and I'm putting it in a nutshell, based on what you just said, you want to see a structured pathway.
But that is how we're going to get back to where we were. Kenny, before time we used to play like a man would drop out the tree. You see a Curtly Ambrose come in, and after 2 years, boom. A Kenny Benjamin come in, and out of the, you never hear about them out of the blue. People know, all the teams, all the territories, the England, the Australia, the South Africa, the Pakistanis, everybody now is putting things in place to harness the youngsters in them, get them into proper structure. We're not doing that now. We're still at 1929 now. And what we're doing? We're behind the 8 ball all the time. I said to somebody the other day, it's going to be another 30 years before West Indies is going to start to talk about dominating world cricket.
You think 30? So if it is 30 years, we're thinking that those boys and girls are not born as yet.
No, they're not born as yet, but you remember use the word dominate. Right. You're going to win games, but dominate.
You believe as a coach, time is winding, every time we're having some real good discussion, the time just get away. Do you believe as a coach, and we see it a lot in terms of the discussion that we see, should parents be the ones choosing what sport the children play? Who chose what you played when you were young?
Well, who chose that? I honestly can't tell who chose. I know my father was an avid cricketer,
right,
and he used to pay them boys like up in Macpan when we go to look after the animals. He used to pay them to bowl at me.
Right.
I never started as a bowler. I started as a batsman and a wicketkeeper. But I ended up being known around the world as a fast bowler. So I would say he chose for me.
But he never tell you that you wanted to play cricket.
No, he never came out and said that, but
you played football as well, and he never stopped you.
He never stopped me, but as I said earlier in the program, that football was my first love.
Right.
But my mother hated football.
Right. So did my parents. And what we're seeing now, Winston, is that a parent will buy a tennis racket, and they're taking the child to play tennis, whether or not they want to play tennis. Is it something that they should maybe add another sport and let the child play what they want? Because I've been speaking to a couple of children who go, And they've been saying to me, I want to play cricket, and my mommy says she don't want me to play cricket, she want me to play tennis. Should that be the way? Are we losing potential world-class athletes because of that? They're forced somewhere that they don't want to go?
You see, let me answer this in a, I'm normally a straight shooter, but let me answer this in a diplomatic, I can use the word diplomatic way?
Yes, you can use it.
When you hear the word tennis, what jumps out at you?
Tennis?
Prestige.
Yes.
Quote unquote, no poor people play tennis. But those are long gone days. Everybody who's anybody now play tennis. But we're still living in the past where if you don't go to grammar school, you don't get an education.
Or high school.
Or high school.
Or Island Academy.
Or Island Academy.
Or St. Joseph Academy.
Or St. Joseph Academy.
Right.
Those are myth.
Right.
So, mommy still want the prestige sports. And mommy not noticing that anybody now playing tennis.
Isn't cricket a prestige sport?
Cricket is perceived by many people, and I've heard them talking about that as people with small mind and weak brain and them kind of things. Dumb people play cricket.
Winston, we're going to have to bring you back because we're really and truly out of time. And definitely, I like the direction where you're going. I like that last over. So definitely, we're going to have to bring you back, and because we need to continue this. I mean, we want to thank you very much for coming and spending an hour here with us on ACB Caribbean Coach's View. We want to thank all those who participated in any way, whether you sent a text, whether you just watch and share the video. And we want to say thanks to our technical crew as well. You've been watching Coach's View, sponsored by ACB Caribbean. Kenny Benjamin with our guest Winston Benjamin, wishing you all a pleasant